What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Today's video, we are going to be installing a new carbon fiber lip on my F30 335i. So this is a 2014 M Sport model, and as you can see, I currently already have a gloss black M Performance style front lip on here. I actually used to have a carbon fiber lip on here, the exact same M Performance style that was from JHP Dynamics. Had that on there for a little while and ended up cracking it. Both my girlfriend and I actually hit a couple parking blocks with it and put some scratches and some cracks in it. It's kind of unfortunate that those parking block incidences happened, but it is a daily driven car and that stuff is going to happen. So after that, I ended up replacing it with a gloss black M Performance style lip, which you can see here. I did a couple install videos. I did one for the JHP Dynamics carbon lip, and then I did another follow-up install after I cracked it, and did a video on this install. So figured I'd grab the camera since I'm once again putting on a different lip. This one is not from JHP Dynamics. It's actually from Extreme Powerhouse. Extreme Powerhouse is a vendor for BMW, Audi, Ford Mustangs, Volkswagen, Porsche, and Nissan GTR aftermarket parts. So as you can see, they work with a ton of different brands, a lot of big name brands on here: Berger Motorsports, Active Auto Work, Remus, BRSF, Evolution Raceworks, etc., etc. So tons of stuff on here for different makes, models, that sort of thing. Recently, they became a supplier of carbon fiber parts for the F chassis, so that's how we acquired this new carbon fiber M Performance style lip. So huge shout out to Mike over at Extreme Powerhouse. Go check them out on Instagram. It's extreme_powerhouse, and it's www.x-ph.com. All right, one last look of the gloss black lip. I actually am a fan of the gloss black, but the whole front end is gloss black, obviously, with the lip and the double slat kidney grills there, but obviously the wheels are gloss black, same with the shadow line, but there's also carbon fiber on this car. As you can see, the mirrors here are carbon, and my Gates Innovations trunk spoiler here, high kick, is also carbon, and then the diffuser and the exhaust tips. So, and then on the inside, obviously we've got some M Performance dry carbon fiber trim. So wanted to carry the theme and continue the theme out here. I actually preferred having the carbon lip that I had from JHP Dynamics on here instead of the gloss black, but the gloss black is obviously a lot cheaper. I did a whole video on that and where to buy that. So that was just a quick eBay part. Fitment was okay, obviously, but you know, just wanted to change it up and put the carbon back on. So let's get to the install. Here's the new M Performance style lip. And this is one piece, so that's the good thing about this. I know Keys Motorsports sells like a 3-piece version. This is a little bit cheaper than that version, and it's just one big piece. Super, super lightweight. It's carbon literally all the way through here. So, real deal. Install should be pretty simple, so let's stop wasting time, get this thing on here. Alright, so I've jacked up this side of the car just to make my life a little bit easier so I can actually see what I'm doing. Got a couple 8mm OEM bolts and a couple screws on here that we need to remove first before we pull this sucker off. Pretty painless uninstall. So as you can see, I've got a couple screws here. These are OEM 8mm screws, and then there's a couple of these little plastic clips that you have to remove. And then I used a rusty screw apparently for the end here. So did that on both sides, and then in the middle here I only used a little bit of 3M double-sided tape, as you can see, just a little bit there, a little bit over there, and came right off. So if you guys have been following along on the channel and you've seen the progression of my F30 335, you may remember that I purchased this car knowing that it had a little bit of damage here in the front. It is a clean title car, but the previous owner, I think, hit a parking block. This car sits a little bit low in the front from factory, and it's an M Sport, so M Sport suspension. But as you can see, this part of the bumper has been damaged. There is PPF all over the front end of this car, so mostly that's why it looks bad, is the PPF. Other than that, there's a couple scrapes under here, but like this stuff is from the PPF. So for that reason, I'm kind of limited on what kind of front lips to put on. I can and will eventually, if I keep the car long enough, fix the bumper, maybe get it repainted or something like that. But for now, what I keep doing is just putting M Performance lips on, so it covers that up. Plus, I actually really like the M Performance style lip. It's a pretty aggressive looking lip, and I really like it. Now that we've got this gloss black lip off, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this. I might keep it for now, just in case I happen to crack the carbon lip again. At least I'll have another backup. I might hold on to this one for a little while and see what happens, but before we go ahead and put the new lip on, I'm going to pull the old 3M double-sided tape off and clean up those areas on both sides. We want to make sure we've got a nice clean surface for the new tape to adhere to, and obviously with lots of car washes and stuff, the water tends to get back behind there, so you can see it's pretty dirty. So good opportunity to clean this whole area up down here, and then we can go ahead and apply our new tape and reinstall. All right, progress report. Went ahead and cleaned it up and put some 3M double-sided tape there. I'm not going to go crazy with the tape because I went crazy with the tape the very first time before with my JHP Dynamics lip, and it made it a lot harder to remove when I cracked it. So on the last lip, on this gloss black lip here, I used minimal amount of tape, even less than this, and it was fine. So I have not yet test fitted the new lip, but figured I'd apply the tape in the areas that I pretty much know where it's going to make contact. So that's what that looks like there. Again, all that's going to be covered up, and here it is on this side. So the PPF under here isn't great. That's another thing I would like to do if I end up getting a new bumper or respraying this or whatever the case may be. The PPF on this front bumper currently isn't the greatest job, so it's kind of starting to peel up in certain spots. As you can see right there, it's kind of peeling up. It was peeling up over here, and obviously this whole side is all jacked up. So maybe eventually we'll get to that point. So let's go ahead and test the new lip. So one thing I do want to point out with this new lip is the fact that it's not pre-drilled. So the gloss black and my JHP had some pre-drilled holes on this side that will line up with the OEM holes. So we might have to smoke some holes there, as well as on this side. And then the center, I had holes here on my JHP lip, and I screwed that directly into the bumper. I did not do that with the gloss black lip, just to see how it would hold up, and I didn't need to put screws there. But so we may or may not put screws in this section, just kind of depends. Additionally, you'll see these little tabs back here, one there, and there's one on the other side, and there should be a couple holes here to line up underneath. But we'll assess that once we throw it on there and kind of get in place and see what we need to do. Okay, this is our initial test fit, just to see how this is gonna fit on here and see what kind of adjustments we need to make. Wow. Actually fits pretty flush against the bumper here, so that's nice. Might have to put some tape there, just so I can scratch the hell out of it, even though it's already scratched. Yeah, this is gonna be decent. Obviously the lip is literally just sitting on top of there right now, but this sucked in real nice against the bumper, so I think I'm gonna put a line of tape right here just so I don't completely scratch the bumper in that area. Same with on that side. I think I'm already kind of starting to scratch it, so put some tape there, and I think we should be good to pull off the backing of the 3M tape and then go ahead and mount it up. So I added a couple more pieces on this side of the lip, right here on the underside, right there, and you can see it on that side, same thing. Just around that corner, basically. Should be good to go. Okay, one last test fit before we pull the tape off. Just want to make sure we're in a good spot here. Yep, I think we'll be good. Let's go ahead and pull off the backing of the tape here. Okay. Let's try to get this thing on here. We got kind of one shot here. flat. What I'm gonna do is push it on here and hold it in place. Try to let the tape adhere. All right, first initial look, not too bad. I will say it fits a little bit more snug here and here than it did on my last two lips, but it's less snug on these corners here. So what we need to do is put some holes here in the bottom and kind of push this in place, and this will hold this area in its spot. And then typically what I did on my last two lips, actually, I used some gray caulk and just caulked this line just to prevent any water to get back in there. The tape that we put there isn't really contacting as much in those two spots. So if I put some caulk there, I think it'll keep the water out. And it's gray, so it doesn't really show at all. No one's ever noticed it. So figured it'd be a decent idea, but generally it looks pretty decent. Fitment's not too bad. Okay, so looking underneath here, I'm on the driver's side. You may or may not be able to tell in the footage here, but there's a small indentation in the carbon right here and right here. So those actually line up more or less with the OEM holes that are here right above. So what I need to do is take a drill and a bit, put a hole through here, and then we should be able to put our existing 8mm screws back in. So just need to make a couple holes right there, and then underneath here you'll see this tab that I showed you guys earlier. If I put a hole in there, this will actually fit with the plastic tab. There's a hole on the upper side there that the plastic tab will fit in. So one there, and then one down on the other side as well. And then I think, as you can kind of tell, there's a little bit of a gap here in the center. So like I said, I did not do this on the gloss black one, but I did put a screw here on the JHP Dynamics one. So since I already have a hole there, I think I'm gonna do the same thing, drill a hole through the carbon here and kind of suck that up in there. So that way when I'm on the highway going 120 miles an hour or something, this isn't gonna completely rip off. So it'll hold on itself right there. But other than that, I think we should be good. Okay, so for this first layer of carbon, I'm actually gonna use a 3/8 inch bit to put two holes through here. I need it to be big enough that, you know, I can actually fit my screw up on this side and also put a tool through this hole in order to screw it in. So that's the purpose of the larger bit on the lower portion. So go ahead and do that real quick. And the second one. Not too concerned with how this is going to look on the underside because no one's going to see it. Okay, so for the second layer of carbon that we need to push through, I'm using a 3/16 bit, and it's just slightly larger than the OEM screw that's going in here. So I'm just going to pull this lip down just a tad so I don't actually puncture the bumper. Make sure I'm in the right spot, which I think I am. Put your hole. All right, a little update for you guys. As you can see, the lip is no longer on the car. I actually have it here on the ground, upside down. So as you saw, I was trying to drill two holes on this side in order to get our mounting screws in. So I've got one 8mm screw that goes into the actual bumper, and then there's this plastic clip that goes on the outer part of the lip into the bumper as well. So I want to retain the OEM hardware, which means I needed to drill holes through here. The problem is this lip was not pre-drilled, so I obviously had to make my own holes, and the hole needed to be big enough for this screw to go through. As you can see, it fits, and another hole for this plastic clip that goes through. So basically what we're going to do now is on the top side, flip this over real quick and show you. So on the top side of the lip, this is where it's going to connect to the actual bumper. So this part needs to come through and this part needs to come through. So it's actually mounted like this when it's on the bumper. So the screw is here, and then the plastic clip is on the outside. So the reason for the larger holes is so that we could get these pieces through. So I ended up pulling the whole lip off, and I did holes on both sides. I ended up using a couple drill bits, as you can see here. I started off with some smaller bits, went to larger bits, and then I actually pulled my Dremel out just to make the hole extra big and tried to round it out and make it as clean as I possibly could. So unfortunately, sometimes when modifying, things don't go as planned, especially when it comes to carbon fiber. So it's always good to have a carbon fiber piece that has pre-drilled holes in it, but occasionally they don't. So this is kind of what you got to do. Let's try this again. I've got all my new tape applied up here and down here. And let's go ahead and slip this guy on here. All right, so underneath here now, you can see I've got my newly drilled holes. So I still need to drill the second hole through the top of the carbon. So I'm just kind of peeking through this gap here to see where exactly I need to drill. And then I will drill my 2 holes. Okay, so I'm using a 1/4 inch bit to drill my holes here. So I'm gonna push this in place and drill away. Since it was kind of hard to see everything, I went ahead and drilled everything in. I've got my screw in here, my plastic clip in here, which you probably can't see. But what also helped was to come on this side, turn the wheel, and take off these 2 8mm right here and kind of pull this part of the wheel well back. And I can actually stick my hand in here and actually feel where those holes are and kind of be able to line everything up. So I can feel my screws both coming through. I can feel the screw coming through and the clip coming through. So we're good to go. This is nice and secure. And again, like there's a little bit of a gap right here, which you can kind of see. And I'll just fill that in with some caulk. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm gonna button this up real quick and we should be good to go on the driver's side. So I've got my my screw and my clip in there. Same thing on this side. I've got my screw and my clip in there. So I still have 2 more of these plastic clips. They go in those little tabs that I showed you on the actual lip. So we need to drill a hole for that as well, and then push this through, and then same thing with the middle. We'll have to drill a new hole in the carbon and then put a screw in there too. But other than that, it's on there. All right guys, finally finished. Everything's mounted and good to go. So I've got, again, 1 screw, 1 clip right here on the end, and then I've got another clip in the middle that I had to drill a hole for. I have a self-tapping screw in the middle to hold this in place so it doesn't flop around on the highway. And then same thing over here. I've got 1 clip, 1 screw, and then I've got another clip that I had to drill in this middle section. So overall, fitment's pretty decent. It's pretty good actually. The good thing about this particular lip is that it actually comes all the way back to the edge here, whereas my last 2 lips, the JHP and the gloss black, did not come all the way back here, so there was a little bit of a gap. Fortunately the car's gray, so it was hardly noticeable, but I like that this comes back further. It's also a little bit tighter fitment through here. This obviously has a little bit of a gap there, but like I mentioned before, I will probably caulk that, and I did put some tape on this line right here just to prevent the carbon from touching the paint too much and scraping and scratching it up. So that's why you'll see the tape there, but once I put a little bit of caulk on there, you won't even notice it. So that's what that looks like. Same thing, this side's pretty solid, nice and fit. This is actually better than my last 2 lips in this area. Same thing, comes all the way back to the edge. And then this side is a little bit, same thing, a little bit gappy here. You can actually see my tape a little bit more because I stuck it out a little bit more, but I may either trim that down a little bit or caulk it and then see how I feel. But otherwise, pretty solid. So you can see a little bit of a gap right there, but overall, pretty happy with that. Looks pretty good. And now I come back to having all carbon. So up next I need to do is maybe some carbon side skirts, carbon rear bumper skirts, and that should be good to go. But so if anybody wants to sponsor me for that, please let me know. All right guys, there you have it. The front lip finally installed. It did take a little bit of extra time, but I prefer the carbon fiber over the gloss black. You guys let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. In terms of fitment, I'd say it's pretty good. It's probably as good as my JHP Dynamics one, maybe even slightly a little bit better. The only problem with this one is that you have to drill your own holes, which takes a little bit more time, and it's kind of hard to make it a completely perfect symmetrical circle when you're drilling those holes. But other than that, a little bit of extra labor involved, but pretty simple process overall. Looks pretty good. Again, I'm going to caulk those edges just to make it a little bit more flush looking and to get rid of any little gaps and that sort of thing, keep the water out as best as possible. Huge shout out to Extreme Powerhouse for sending me this. They are offering a 5% discount on pretty much anything in their store. Just use coupon code AcceleratedMotion at checkout if you guys want to take advantage of that. Thank you again to them for sponsoring this video. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns on anything that we've done today, please let me know. Otherwise, we will see you guys on the next video. Take care. Thanks for watching.